Sandra! Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button down below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content as we go along. If you know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this beautiful book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 asexual stories. They're real life stories, love, life and sex, a celebration of asexual diversity, out on Amazon. I'm also the founder of asexualise.com and the founder of Asexualise Academy. Welcome to tonight's episode. I've got a great episode for you tonight because this is one question I get asked quite a lot, or I see posted in a lot of groups, is when should I tell someone I am asexual? This is someone you're interested in dating or having a potential relationship with. And there are ways you can do this that are safer for you than others. Okay, so I'm not just going to say my answer to that, but I'm going to give you some other things you might not have thought about in terms of safe ways you can do it. Obviously, there should technically be no problem with you just coming out right and saying it, because hey, we're all individuals, we're all adults, so we can say truthfully what our sexual orientation is, right? Also, you would think. So, obviously, I will answer the question like, when should you do it? And then I'll explain a couple of different ways that are not so confrontational, and so you might feel a bit better doing them that way. So anyway, let's jump into it. So basically, if you are thinking about telling someone you're asexual because you're interested in dating them or a potential relationship with them, first of all, should you tell them you're asexual? Absolutely, categorically, yes, you should definitely tell them. Because think what it would be like if the shoe was on the other foot, as they say. So if you were in the position of the other person, you were a sexual person, just for one moment, think about that. I know it's hard to think about it because we're not really sexual beings, but put yourself in the position you're heterosexual, for example, which is what most of the population still is. So think you're a heterosexual, right? And think how you would feel if you saw this gorgeous person that you are sexually attracted to. I know it's hard to think this way. And you think, wow, they're stunningly beautiful. And obviously they're probably thinking about not just your personality, but about sex and all the other stuff. And they will be following you due to a lot of the time, you know, and coming after you for sexual attraction, because for sexuals, that's one of the very first initial things they see and think about and feel is the sexual attraction. That's the way they feel, think, and a lot of the time that's, you know, if they don't know you, that's what's on their mind, what's feeling in their body, that's what they're doing, right? So they're thinking, oh wow, this person looks gorgeous, and they're most likely thinking about having sex with you. This is the truth, right? It's not what we want to hear, but it's what is usually happening in their minds and with their bodies and all sorts of stuff. Obviously, this is not true for every sexual, but it's true for quite a lot of them. When they don't know us, they have never met us, they've never really got, you know, we're new in their life, right? And so you know, you've got to put yourself in their position and think, you know, they are after something, the sex, right, as part of a relationship package with you, potentially. So if they're coming after you, they're wanting your phone number, they're flirting with you, they're being over friendly. If you don't know what flirting is, basically it's when they're being really over friendly with you, they're spending a lot of time with you, they're trying to get your phone number, they're trying to make plans to meet up with you for dates, so drinks, meals out, that type of thing. You know, whereas this might be normal if you've known someone for a while, friends, right, to go out with them and chill and hang out. They're not thinking about chilling and hanging out, right? They're thinking about dating with likely sex at the end of the night or after a few dates, sex, right? This is how they think, right? So you have to put yourself in their position, right? And so you have to, for your own safety, for your own sake, and for the consideration of them as a human being, regardless of their sexuality, right, being different to yours, you have to tell them the truth. You owe them the truth, right? You could say you owe them nothing because you don't know them, but quite frankly, I think you should be honest and open with everyone. I don't think you should be lying to everyone or anyone or covering up who you truly are, right? I don't think you should be doing that. It's not an honest way to go. You cannot have a good, strong foundation for any relationship if you're going into it not having told someone honestly what your sexual orientation is. You know, it's going to be based on a lie. It's going to be based on a deceit. You may not be lying outright, but you're withholding information, which is like deceit. You don't want to be doing that. There's no need for it. And I tell you something now, it is hugely, hugely beneficial to you telling the person up front, because it's when you're least emotionally invested in the person. If you do not tell them up front and you start a potential relationship with them, you start dating them, you haven't told them, you'll start to get to they don't know. For example, say you haven't told them, they don't know you're not sexually attracted to them, they don't know you don't experience sexual attraction, they don't know you don't want sex. I'm talking about asexuals that never want sex, right? That sex repulse, don't want it, all right? So I'm not talking about the asexuals that will try it, but even if you will try it, it's not the same as having sex all the time that they probably want, like several times a week. We might be talking. Do you see what I'm saying? So whatever type of asexual you are, you know, it's beneficial to you to tell that person up front so you don't get emotionally invested and hooked on them and fall in love with them, so you find it harder to split up and you want to please them sexually to make them happy because you want to keep the relationship going or potential relationship going, and it ends up in heartache and heartbreak. You don't want that. You want to be able to tell them the truth about you and your sexual orientation up front so you're least emotionally invested in them. That way you can walk away. If they just say, no, sex has got to be on the table, you walk away. You haven't invested your time, energy, effort getting to know that person and wasted it when you find out that they need sex. And you have, you know, and maybe that person becomes emotionally invested in you. But what happens when two people are emotionally invested in each other, yet they're wrong for each other because their sexual orientation is just incompatible, right? I'm talking about if an asexual doesn't want sex, the other person does want sex. It's just going to be bang, 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 bang. What's the point in being together when there are thousands of people out there in the world and you're trying to force each other to fit each other's relationship? Yo, what's up, girl? Hi, my life. Good to see you. So you must tell them up front, because this is the time when you're least emotionally invested in the person. Does that make sense? So you should be telling them straight up front, straight away. If they ask you out on a date, tell them, I don't like sex. I don't want sex. I'm not interested in sex. Thank you, my life. So, and you're doing this for their benefit and for your benefit. Their benefit, because if that's what they're after, that's the way they're attracted, that's the way they're thinking, it's unfair to keep that from them. I, as a human being, regardless of my sexuality, would want someone to be upfront with me with such a big thing like that. Why would I want a person that I'm potentially interested in keeping something like that from me? Why? It's not fair on them. It's not fair for any, just like, you know, if you've got a heterosexual or someone says they're heterosexual, really they turn out to be bisexual, then they should tell you that too. To be honest, that they're attracted to both genders. Do you know what I'm saying? It's really, really important that whatever sexual orientation you are, you're upfront about it. And then it's beneficial to you doing that to prevent you getting hurt and in pain, and to prevent a potential relationship going wrong down the line because it was based on something that isn't completely true, honest, and open, right? In order to have a successful relationship, you have to be honest, open, very honest, very open, and communicating all your sort of wants, needs, likes, and dislikes. The person needs to know where you're coming from. How can they understand you if they don't know where you're coming from? How can you expect them to? They're not mind reader. You must remember that. I mean, even years ago, I used to want my partner to be like a mind reader. You know, it's like, you're my partner. You should understand me. You should know these things. And that's my attitude almost years ago. That's when I was younger in terms of experience. I'm still young, but in terms of experience, that's where I was unknowledgeable and I was living in more of a fairy tale world. My boyfriend knew ahead of time, before we started. My best friend knew ahead of time before we started dating. Yeah, your boyfriend and your best friend as well. I think that's really good, my life. That's really, really good. It's, you know, that's what you should do. I mean, some asexuals, they still don't get it. They still don't understand why they should tell someone up front. Of course you should, because it's about being open and honest and about not investing too much time, energy, and effort in someone, and clearly is going to be wrong for you. And if you do get into a situation, you both become emotionally attached in love and you're not suitable in physicality, it's going to be a lot of heartache from both of you. You're going to try and make it work, and it's going to be struggle after struggle after struggle. Heartache and pain. It's no good. You know, it's absolutely no good for you. Okay, so I mentioned also at the beginning of this video that I was going to give you some more safe ways of doing it if you don't want to go the very outright way, which I would suggest. Like, so I would suggest you tell a person that you're asexual before you go on a date. So if someone invites you for a date, you know, before you go on a date, most of my boyfriends left because the divide of sex was no sex. Yeah, the divide of sex versus no sex. Yeah, it's really important people understand this. You know, it's fair to both people if both sexual orientations are honest with each other. What's the point in just keeping it? It's not adult, is it, to keep these things from each other? I mean, it's not a good relationship. You know, it's just getting your relationship off to a rocky road. If someone hides something from me, that's it. I just don't trust them. I'm not talking about just sexual orientation. I'm talking about in general. And I've had some people on ASAP say, "Oh, I live at," you know, they live in London, and then they're like, and they talk to me as though they're actually living in London. Then they're like, "Well, I'm not really in London anymore," but they haven't corrected me. They say they're in London on their profile, and they still say it. You know, they think they can change me or fix me, or that I'd change, or that they'd be okay with it. Yeah, you see, that's the danger in my life. I mean, there's like I told you, luckily my boyfriend I'm with now accepts me for who I am. That's really good. It's great he accepts you without sex. It's wonderful. They are those out there then. It's really, really good. You've been friends for a long time, but it just goes to show you that they accept you. And you know, if you hadn't been honest with your boyfriend, then maybe he wouldn't be so accepting because he wouldn't have got used to it. That's another thing. If you are friends with someone, you should be telling them as well so they can get used to it, you know. And like my life was friends with their boyfriend for 3 years before they became their boyfriend this year. So do you see what I'm saying? They can get used to the idea. So, you know, so some ways you can, you know, ways around it if you're really, really like freaking out because this person's come up, you know, saying stuff, right? Okay, so this is another way you can do it, right? It's a way that's not straight away, but a way that's easier probably for you. So if some guy asks you out on a date, right, and you're really, really interested, right, you don't go on the date with them there and then, you get them to message you, text message you, right? You give them your phone number if you want to. This is if you're really interested in a guy, you give them your phone number, right? You get them to text you, say, you know, text me or whatever, or you get their phone number as well, right? Which is even better in some ways. And then when you've left the scene with them, good, because I'm not straight. Oh, brilliant. And so when you've left, so going back to the what I was saying, so you're with this person for a potential relationship, they're asking you out on a date, right? They want your number, right? And you do like them, you're interested, right? Give them your number, take their number as well if you want to, right? And I personally like to in this scenario because I want to get it over and done with, right? It makes me nervous, else. So basically, a lot of the time, I'll take their number as well. It's not up to you to go out after chasing them. So you could just let them have your number. If they text you, they text you. If they don't worry about it, right? But if you want to take their number, you can. And then when you get home, so you're not in the face-to-face situation with that person anymore, when you get home, then you text them that you're asexual. So you're not in their face, they're not in your face, you know, and you explain in a text message what that actually means. So you say, you know, something like, it's really nice you're interested in me. I like you a lot. However, I just want you to know that I am asexual, not sexual. So this means that I don't experience sexual attraction. I'm not interested in sex. I don't like sex. And I would never be doing that in a relationship. And I just wanted you to know that because I think you're likely to be heterosexual and want sex at some point in a relationship. And I know we've just met, but I'm telling you this now because this is the truth. And that way, oh, my life, I've done that. Yeah, so this is really good. I've done it too. So sometimes the situation is that you can't, for example, if you're in a supermarket, you might not want to start saying, I don't like sex. I'm not interested in sex, even though I end up saying that in the supermarket a lot of the time. Most people probably wouldn't want to do that. So if you don't want, if you're in a situation like that where they've got your number, one is they're probably highly sexual anyway if they're getting your phone number in a food shopping aisle, but you don't know, maybe not. It's really weird. I went into Tesco today, which is a supermarket in the UK. I was walking one way, this guy was walking another. It's an apple jumped out at us both and went on the floor, and neither of us touched it. He picked it up. It's very cute, actually. I nearly turned around and said, "Are you asexual? Is this a sign you're asexual?" It's really funny. But no, I didn't. I just said, "Oh, neither of us touched that, did we?" And he picked it up and put it back. So that was weird. Yeah, and so I digress. But yes, so that I have done that before. So sometimes the situation is that you can't tell them, or it's awkward, or so even though I am very upfront and honest, there's sometimes where I have done that, right? Because it's just ghosty. Yeah, I've done that before. So I'd say that I tell people up front a lot of time, but that is basically up front. As soon as it's pretty much up front. So as soon as you leave the place, you're back home or whatever, you're not in their face, you say it because it's safer. It's safer and it's less confrontational, and they can message you back. If you really need to, you can speak to them on the phone as well, because you can put the phone down on them. You can block their number if they get weird with you. So that is a much safer way of doing it. And if you're more introverted, it's a better way probably for you to go about it. Do you see what I mean? Maybe it was a sign and you missed it. Well, I thought maybe the guy, but he was very young, so maybe not. But I don't know what it was the sign of, unless it was the guy that picked the apple up. But I couldn't really think of anything to say to him apart from about the apple. But yeah, so yeah, that's a much safer way of doing it. It's a really good thing. I have done that myself, even though I do like to be upfront. Sometimes the situation has called for me to do that, because it's just been a better for me, So, because not every situation is what, sometimes they're rushing away and you're rushing as well. So, it's much better. And to be honest, in that situation, because I do have some anxiety still, sometimes I'll just text message the guy first before he's even had a chance to text message me first. I know usually you wait for the guy to contact you. That's how it works. But with anxiety, you tend to overthink, get stressed or nervous. So sometimes it's just better to get it out the way and done with, And some of them still won't believe you, though. I have to let you know this. I have done that with more than one guy. I have actually been out on a date afterwards when they said that's fine, basically. And then throughout the date, I've noticed that they don't agree with it. They don't believe you, and they're still trying things on. Excitement. Do you mean excitement or excitement? I haven't heard of excitement before. So it's a very safe way of doing things. And another way you can do it, if you want to do it this way, is you can Skype date. I've mentioned Skype dating on this channel before, right? But Skype dating would usually be when you're really, really interested in the guy, not when you've just met him at the supermarket. Or you can't spell excitement. You can't, you can't just, with Skype dating, I've said it before. So if you don't know what the difference between Skype dating and just Skyping is, Skype dating is where you Skype someone with the intention that you want a potential relationship with them, and you ask them a range of questions to find out their likes, wants, needs, dislikes in a relationship. So it's very different from hanging out with your friends. When you hang out from your friends, you're not going to be questioning them about, do you want kids? Do you want marriage? How much sex do you want in the relationship? Or if you're asexual, great, because you don't want sex like me. I'm guessing, how much physicality, because even asexuals want physicality. Some of them like touching all over the body naked. Some people like to stay fully clothed. So you've always got the, this is Skype dating. This is how it is. Scaping. Oh, bless you. This is Skype dating. And so it's really, really important that you understand the difference. The intention's different. So if I'm hanging out with my mates, I can be talking about, with the films they've watched, having a catch up about what's gone on in their life. Do you know what I mean? It's chilled, relaxed, and I'm not interested in what they're doing in terms of relationship. apart from if they're in a relationship with someone else, I'm asking them about it because I'm not thinking about them in that way. Do you see what I mean? Whereas a Skype date, you are specifically asking them questions to see if you're okay, if you've got potential to be in a relationship together. I mean, if the deal breakers are not the same, if I don't want marriage and the person does, that's it, they're out. End of story. I'm not interested. It's not suitable for me. Obviously, that's why I say Skype dating's a little bit further down the line, because usually you'd be text messaging them some of this stuff before you Skype date, but sometimes you just want to cut to the chase. And so in a Skype date, you can actually say you're asexual. So if you get the person's number or you haven't known them that long, you can say, I want to Skype date you. If it's on a dating site, a major dating site that's not a sexual dating site, right? What happens is most people, they'll just meet up for a date, right? I introduced Skype dating on this channel quite a few years ago now. And, even when I was on Plenty of Fish for like 10 days, because they took me off because I was asexual, then I was even starting to write about Skype dating on there. And, and a lot of them, if they're not serious, they won't do it because they don't even want to see you face to face on a camera, because they're trying to hide behind a camera screen, just trying to go around getting chat women up to talk about sex stuff. Do you see what I mean? They're not even genuine. So, even the notion of Skype dating can weed out the people that's rubbish for you and no good, because, the bad ones, the ones that are really no good, they won't even want to do that because they won't want you to see their face, because they might not even be who they say they are if they're from a dating site. I know what that's like. Oh, bless you. Is that Skype dating, or you mean what it's like when you go on a dating site and a lot of them are just hiding and chatting you up? Because that's what they do. A lot of them do that on dating sites. And they just that's why in the end I put about Skype dating. I thought, yeah, any genuinely serious guys will Skype date. Two thing. So basically, yeah, so that's another way, because with Skype dating, obviously, you can tell them you're asexual on that. You can explain what it is face to face. Then they can ask you a question about it, but you're behind a computer screen. So you've got a great more deal of security and safety there. And if you don't like it, you can just end the conversation, click them off. You can block them off Skype. They're gone from your life. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's a safer way of doing it for you. So there are, but it means that you're being honest, open up front from the beginning. I'm not talking about doing this like 3 months down the line. I'm talking about doing this initially. Like, I personally love Skype dating. I think it's great, because if someone comes on ASAP and they're interested in me, I can usually tell by a 3 or 4 hour Skype date, if they're right for me or not at all. Going to be potentially at all. And I know that might seem like, 3 or 4 hours. Oh my God, I can't do that. Well, it's all right. You can just Skype date over several weeks if you want and waste your life away trying to, for all those weeks when you could have spent 3 or 4 hours, just block your time out to get this person nailed down to whether they're any good in potentiality for you. Do you see what I'm saying? Or you can just spread it out over weeks. But why agonize over it? Why take all those weeks? Yes, you should take weeks to get to know the person better if they are going to be potentially suitable for you. But the initial Skype date, you should be asking all the hard questions up front. And I know people are scared to do that. I know that's not normally what we're taught. We're taught, we should be talking to strangers. We should be polite. We should be caring. We should watch what we say to people. But it's not like that. When you date, when you're interested in a potential relationship, you should cut to the chase and stop wasting your time. Your time is very precious. It's very valuable. You don't want to be like wasting 3-4 weeks of your time in life if their person's not suitable. If they can't give you what you want, they can't match your needs. You know that from the beginning. It's much better to find out because you're less emotionally invested in them. Got to be straightforward, exactly. And I know that there's loads of asexuals that are introverted. But even if you're introverted, you've still got to learn these skills, right? Even if you're an introvert, you've still got to go out to a job, most of you, haven't you? You've got to be around people. You've got to do things. You've got to communicate. You have to learn these skills. Do you know what I mean? You have to learn these skills for your own safety and for your own well-being and to get the relationship you desire. Everyone's got to change. I'm still changing. I have to change. I need to grow myself. There's things that come up that I'm like, I didn't realize that. I have to change this. I have to develop it. I have to improve on it. I have to learn it. I have to grow it, Like, before I even did this channel, I didn't like talking about sex. You know what I mean? 2014, I couldn't even, you know, that's when I found out I was asexual. Before then, I didn't even talk about sex, usually. Do you know what I mean? Not unless it was with my boyfriend at the time, or if I was dating someone, I'd say I don't want sex. Do you know what I mean? That happened, obviously. But before I knew I was asexual, but you know, I wouldn't talk about private sexual stuff. I wouldn't talk about sex acts. I wouldn't talk about sex in general. I was too shy. Same. Oh, bless you. You know, so it's only since I found out I'm asexual that I talk about it, but I had to push myself out of my comfort zone to do this channel. I mean, there's a video about my personal opinion about masturbation. That was really difficult for a video for me to do because I didn't even try masturbation until after I found out I was asexual, which is very strange, isn't it? I didn't do anything like that with my body for years. I felt sick at the thought of it. I thought it was disgusting. Personally, that's how I felt back then. That's how I thought back then. I don't think that now. I still think it's a bit but you know, in general, I think it's a very self-loving thing, and I think it's much better to do that with yourself than it is to go and get into relationship with someone that's no good for you, where maybe you would like the partner to do things like that for you, even if you don't want the sex, because you know, if you get with the wrong person, that's a huge problem. And I think if you are going to do some sexual things with someone, even if you don't want the sex, you're going to do some touching and stuff, you really need to know where you like to be touched before you enter a relationship with someone. You know, so even if you don't want to touch yourself intimately down there, you need to know like where on your body, other places you're comfortable being touched. It helps in the future of a relationship, you know? It's for the body itself, yeah. But I used to think masturbation was gross, disgusting, made me feel sick at the thought, and I would never want to do that with myself. I decided to try it. I'm like, why not? Well, it's because my grandma died, actually. It's a bit weird. My grandma died, and then I thought, oh, you only live once. Why not try it? Everyone else is doing it. And then I'm like, well, you don't have to try it, Sandra. And I'm like, no, but maybe I should give it a go and just see what happens. Because when I was in a relationship, I liked my partner doing that for me. But obviously, as I'm single and likely to be single for a number of years, it's kind of like I don't do it and ever, and I have no partner doing it, or I do it and maybe it's okay sometimes. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it, you know, but it's good too, I think, you know, if you like doing that, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a self-love thing, I think, and I think it's a much better to do that with yourself than end up with the wrong person. And I think sometimes when we're on our own, we can crave another person, you know, because we crave that, maybe that, you know, it depends how much physical touch you like, but we might crave that body next to us, the warmth of it. You know, it might go from anything from being fully clothed and just having a person cuddle us to like wanting, some asexuals want full skin to skin contact, you know, like bodies completely touching, naked, you know. So it ranges from different asexuals, and we can really miss that if we're not in a relationship. And the worst thing you can do is to feel like you're lacking and that you need to have a relationship to fulfill that, and so you kind of latch onto anyone that you think might be a potential partner because you're lacking in that yourself, whereas you could do that for yourself, even if it, you know, like, so I, you know, it's not something that I think, like, I'm okay with it now, but it took me a long time to even get used to me doing that myself, because it's kind of really icky, made me feel sicky for quite a long time, and I kind of had to like try and change my mind about it a bit, you know. But I think it's better to do that for myself if I want to, than get the wrong person. Do you know what I mean? Because I did used to like my ex doing that for me, if I'm honest, but I've always preferred him doing it to me doing it. Not him now, but a potential him. You know, like if I had a boyfriend, I've always thought I prefer him doing that to me doing it to myself. But having said that, I know how it's best for my body, and to treat it with care and love, and to make sure it doesn't hurt, or try not to get it to hurt me. Do you see what I mean? So I can look after myself in that way. So I think it's really important that you do a lot of stuff with yourself so that you don't rely on someone else, and then you get less attached to that person as well. Thank you, my life. You know, so it's really important you be upfront with your asexuality. It's really important that you tell a person from the very, very beginning, when you're first thinking about getting into a relationship with them, before you ever do, and before you even go on a date, if possible, you know. I mean, like I said, you can do Skype dating because that's not an in-person date. But before you start in-person dating, ideally you want to be telling them. Just tell the person. I'm not. I mean, I come out with it like because I go clubbing now, as you've seen on my videos, right? I want to go clubbing. I love dancing, right? There's a lot of guys there, sexual guys, right? Foreign and British, younger guys, which I feel more comfortable around. You know, in their 20s predominantly, right? And it's really important that I know they're pretty much all of them there for sex. I mean, some of them got partners. They come with their partner, right? They're dancing, snogging their partner. They've already got a partner. But the others, a lot of them are after sex. Some of them come with their friends as well. So some of them are out in a group. So they're not all for sex. But the ones that are single on their own, a lot of the time, they're looking for someone to have sex with, right? So you just be upfront and honest. Aces can experiment, but should do so safely. And everyone should experiment things safely. What do you mean by experiment? I mean, you should only, if you're experimenting with other people, you should know the other person first to know you can trust them. Do you know what I mean? At least to a certain extent, you should put, you should, you know, that's why you need to tell them you're asexual. So say an asexual got into a situation where they did meet someone for the first time on topic before this one. Oh, about masturbation, was it? Or was it about touching each other? Like guy and girl. So what was I saying? You've really lost my train of thought now. Sorry. I shouldn't lose my train of thought. Both. Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you are with a partner, you should be making sure everything is very safe and tell the person how you like it. So if you do get into a relationship, which this video wasn't going to be about, you should always express what your needs, wants, likes, and dislikes are. So say as an asexual person, just say there are a few asexuals like this, right? Say for example, I mean, it doesn't happen these days. It's not going to happen to me usually. You know, I can't say it ever happening again. But say in the past, right? In the past, I have met a guy out, right? And in the past, I haven't known them that long, right? And then in the past, years and years ago, I have had guys in my bed, right? But these are guys I haven't, you know, not all at once, but there was a guy once, right? And I dated him. I went out to a club. I didn't know him that well. I actually worked at my local supermarket and I did go out on a date with him dancing. I didn't know I was asexual back then. And he did come back to my place and sleep in my bed, but he didn't have sex with me because I told him, I said, I don't want sex. I don't like it. And he was kissing me. He's like, oh, come on. I'm kissing you. I want sex. I'm like, no. And so that was really hard. But, you know, that's a very, like, because I'm very trust myself and because I didn't think he would hurt me. So I guess I trusted someone who I didn't know that well. Then, that's what happened. But this is going back years ago. I mean, I can't even remember how many years ago it's going back, but it's a very, very long time now, right? I mean, I don't do that type of thing. I haven't done that type of thing for years because there's no point. Do you know what I mean? But what I'm saying is if you do get into a situation as an asexual person that you end up, like you do end up going out to a club or you end up dating someone and they do come back to your place, it could happen, right? It's not impossible for it to happen. I've had that before, different scenario, but similar and basically same topic. Oh, thanks, my life. So yeah, it can happen, right? Especially if you're a romantic person, right? You can get very romantic with the person, feel really good. You want that, because as asexuals, some of us can get lonely or some of us can crave romance and affection and cuddles, right? And we're human after all. Some people don't understand. They're like, why, if you're asexual, do you even need someone? Why do you want someone to cuddle? Why do you need to go into bed with someone? What's all this about? I don't get it. What's the big deal? And they don't understand that it's the human connection, the love, the cuddles, exactly. It's the affection. Just because we're asexual doesn't mean to say we don't crave and need these things. And some people are like, I don't get it. And I'm like, well, don't get it then. What more can I say? They don't understand. And if they don't understand, there's only so much I can explain to them, and it's, and for some reason, some people think it's like weird that asexuals like this type of thing, but they don't need sex. And it's like, well, it's not weird. It's natural. And in actual fact, it's probably more natural for us because we're not wanting the sex. We don't experience sexual attraction. It's more normal for us to want to feel close to a person in other physical ways, like cuddling and kissing and or holding hands, or just, I know most of asexuals love cuddling because we still want that very close body contact, like cuddling, because we like to feel close and affectionate with someone despite not wanting the sex. We still need that. It's still our basic need. Not everyone. There are aromantic asexuals, those that lack romantic attraction, lack sexual attraction and lack romantic attraction. Some aromantics, they don't want to be touched, they don't want to cuddle anyone, they don't want to be in a relationship, they don't need that. Okay, so I'm not speaking for every single asexual. I'm specifically saying it's highly probable that if you're a romantic asexual, you're going to be much more like this. So it could happen. You could go out with someone for the night. You've only just met them. Maybe you're dancing with them. You haven't had a chance to say you're asexual yet because you got talking and they're starting to say, oh, so where do you work? Oh, yeah, you know, like, oh, right, that's really interesting. Like, how often do you come here? And you've got all these other questions. So there are certain times when there is things that lead the conversation where you haven't got the opportunity as much to say you're asexual. You haven't got the opportunity to say you don't like sex, Sometimes I wait. Like last week, it was when the guy started asking me if I'm single. That's when I said, I don't like sex. I didn't say yes or no, I'm single. I said, I don't like sex, Because I thought if I say I'm single, then he'll think, oh, great. So I thought it's easier if I just say I don't like sex. And it pretty much says I'm probably single anyway. Do you know what I mean? But, he could have still asked me that again. But I just thought really a lot of the time, especially in that situation, him asking me if I'm single is basically saying, are you free and not with anyone to have sex with me? That's their language. That's how I decipher their language, right? Are you single? Are you free for sex? Or are you taken? You know what I mean? So you've got to understand the language that sexuals speak without actually speaking it. So it's really important that you tell someone up front and whenever the opportunity presents itself. But if you are in a situation at all where someone does end up coming back home with you, does end up in your bed, you have to make it sure up front, whatever you do, you tell them you don't like sex, you're not going to have it. Categorically, I do not want you getting hurt. You have to be very, very, very strict on boundaries, whether you use the word asexual or not. So if you're the type of person that's fretting over using the word asexual, you don't want to use it, it's freaking you out, and you end up in a situation where potentially, they could just jump on you and have sex because they don't know that you're not giving them those signals, right? You don't want that situation to occur, right? You want to be very upfront and tell them you're not interested in sex, you don't want it, you're not going to have it, no matter what happens, right? Even if you kiss or whatever. And it's good to put boundaries in place. If there's certain places you don't like to be touched, tell them so. Because when they put back, that's good. Be right back. Thank you. So, it's really important that you're really, really, really upfront with them, because I don't want you to get into sexual situations that are no good for you, right? So a lot of asexuals, they worry about the things they shouldn't be. You're so worried and worked up about whether you should tell someone you're asexual or not, when you should tell them. You should be more worried about not telling them straight away and not putting boundaries in place. You need to protect yourself. You don't want to end up in sexual situations that are no good for you because you haven't spoken up, right? People are not mind readers. Like I said, years ago, I used to want my exes to be mind readers. Ex at the time, because I only have one relationship at a time. I'm monogamous. But, in the past, I used to want them to be mind readers. Like, oh, they should know what I want. They should know I'm like this. But no, they don't. You have to spell things out for people. And it's the same when you're in a relationship. You have to say, I don't like this. This is not for me. This is what I want. This is what I need. Not saying anything till it's too late leads to rape because the other person is sex crazy. My life, you put it very, very bluntly. Yes, that's what I was getting to. But yes, I didn't say it like that. But yes, it can lead to positions of rape because they don't know you don't want it, basically. If you spell it out to a person that you don't want it, I'm not going to say this is going to stop anything from happening, because you need to use your judgment, You shouldn't trust every single person that comes into your life, you know. And if someone asks you for nude photographs, you don't, I mean, personally, if anyone asks me for nude photographs, I run the other way like a shot, right? Don't do it. Don't give nude photographs out to anyone, you know. It's ridiculous. And especially if you don't know them. I had this guy on asexuality.org, UK foreign guy, and the first message I said that I was like interested in younger guy, and he like, oh yeah, that's great, nice to get to know you better. And then he said, oh yeah, in a relationship I like nude photographs. And I'm like, oh, you're not for me then. Good luck, because I won't do that. I mean, these people will share your photographs with other people, their mates. They could put them online or do anything with them. Why would you do that? Why would anyone need to do that? My exes, all heterosexual, not one of them asked me for nude photographs ever, or took any photographs of me naked. Do you know what I mean? They didn't do stuff like that. It's ridiculous. Be right back, mum is annoying. That's okay, my life. So yeah, you've really, really got to be upfront with the person. Do you see what I mean? Because you don't want to get yourself into a situation which is a rape type of situation, because you haven't spoken up, you know, because you can't expect the other person to be a mind reader, you know. You shouldn't be scared. If you're scared to even tell them you're asexual or don't want sex, they're not the right person for you. I can tell you that now. Don't bother getting into a relationship with them. Don't bother thinking about them for a possible relationship. If you can't be open, honest, and upfront, and you're too scared to tell them, that is a bad, huge red flag. Run a mile, because it means you can't be yourself around them. And you know where you can have a relationship with someone if you can't be yourself around them. Run the other way, fast. Do you know what I mean? So please, please, please note my words. I know a lot of asexuals, they still be, oh, like, I can't be like that, I'm not like her. I am extrovert. I agree with you. Right? The majority of asexuals are introverted, but I found out the majority of the population of the world is introverted more than extroverted, which shocked me. Right? I'm like, I thought most people are extrovert, but it seems there's more introverts from knowledge that came about, because apparently most of the entrepreneurs, the thought leaders, all them lot, the majority are introverted. And I'm like, I never knew that. And so I wouldn't have thought that. So people have to learn the skills that are different to them. Right? Even though I'm extrovert, I have some introverted tendencies, you know, because I'm at home a lot, doing my own thing, working on my websites, don't see many people, don't see anyone, don't speak to anyone here. Do you know what I mean? There's no one here to speak to. Who do I speak to? My cuddly toys? Do you see what I'm saying? So unless I phone someone up or actually come into face-to-face contact, all I've got is messaging on the internet and stuff. And, you know, if I'm busy doing like website work or book work, you know, I'm doing it on my own. It's solitary, you know. So I have to learn to obviously spend time on my own. I have to be on my own sometimes, you know, because it's called for. And so it's called for you to be outspoken in situations like that. Despite whether you are introverted or extroverted, you need to speak out. Speak out. It's all about being assertive. Speaking your truth is about asserting yourself, your wants, your needs, about putting boundaries in place, which is really, really healthy for you. You do not want to get into a relationship where you haven't set down the boundaries and the person's walking all over you, doing whatever they want. It's going to be horrible for you. You know what I mean? I'm here to help you as much as possible, tell you the truth, you know? It's really, really, really important that you understand you have to tell this person as soon as possible up front. You don't leave it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or a month. Hi, I'm here. I'm queer and ready to ace life. I'm queer and ready to ace life. Oh, I'm over here to ace life. I love life. It's great. I'm feeling much better today, actually. It's good. Really positive. So, yeah, it's really important. So, anyway, I think I've done this live stream for a long time now. If anyone got any questions that you want to ask me before I sign off, because, you know, please give this video a thumbs up. I really, really like it if you give me a thumbs up, because it really, really, really helps raise awareness of this channel, helps raise awareness of asexuality and important topics. How am I? I'm good. I'm good. I've decided today, so instead of using the word, setback, I've changed it, banning the word setback, and now I'm using the word set forward, because it's much more positive. This is going way off topic. So basically, instead of saying you've got setbacks in life, You have to see everything as a step forward. I think I have a stalker at school. Eek. Set forward is positive, so it means everything that comes up in your life that's a challenge sets you forward and propels you forward for better things to come. It's really positive. So yeah, I'm setting forward at the moment a lot. You think you have a stalker at school? Is that guy in your class? My life, the one that the one you said there was a guy in your class. Is that the one you're talking about? Another one. Is it another one that's sexually attracted to you? I think you get a lot of guys after you, like I do, don't you? By the sound of it. Yeah, you sound like me. I get loads of sexual guys after me all the time. I mean, it's difficult if you're at school, isn't it? But you just, they just keep talking about your boyfriend all the time. Do you know what I mean? In conversations, make sure they hear it. Oh, I'm seeing my boyfriend tonight. Can't wait. My boyfriend's awesome. That's what I would do. Just go on about my boyfriend all the time. They get fed up with it and walk off. If they're a decent person, if they're a decent person, they wouldn't pursue you if you've got a boyfriend, would they? I mean, some people still do, but the majority of time, if they know you've got a boyfriend, they'll just leave you alone. Do you know what I mean? Unless you are polyamorous but you're monogamous. You're in a monogamous relationship, so that's it, isn't it? You're taken. End of story. Do you know what I mean? So that's the way it is. So they can just go. You know what I mean? And I did a video a long time ago in my life, and it was all about the fact that when you're in a relationship, you get more people attracted to you. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but when you get into a relationship with someone, which you've got into recently, haven't you? More and more people come out of the woodwork, as I call it, and are attracted to you. It happens to me every single time. So if I have someone if I get into a relationship, like this year I had a relationship, it was only about 3 weeks, it doesn't last very long, but the guy was wrong with me. My boyfriend is protective, so if I'm in danger or space invaded, he can help fend them off. Oh, that's sweet. Knight in shining armor, love that. That's really good. It's really nice that they're protective. Really good. Really good. Yeah, I did a video a long time ago. So whenever you get into a relationship, well, it just they all flock. It's like you become a more attractive person if you're happy in a relationship. If you're miserable, it's a bit different. But if you're happy, you're glowing, or if you're in a relationship and that person you're in a relationship with telling everyone about you and how wonderful you are, it makes you more attractive. So more people come after you. Like when I was in a relationship briefly with that guy this year, I had more and more guys after me. They kept turning up. One turned up in my life who's asexual, who I hadn't heard from for since 2014. And they came back into my life. And they got a girlfriend. They want to be friends, but I didn't want to be friends with them. They broke my heart years ago. And they turn around and goes, "Oh, sorry if you felt that way," taking no responsibility for them hurting my feelings at all. It's God's testing you. So I just said to him, "No, I don't think it's a good idea we're friends. I don't think it's a good idea for us to be friends. You've got a girlfriend, moved on, so have I moved on. So that's it." So that was the end of that. But I'm thinking, why come back? If you've got a girlfriend and you haven't spoken to me since 2014, why come back into my life this year, 5 years later, to then still talk to me and want to be my friend? Obviously, to me, that's a person who's still got some feelings or still got something there. Do you know what I mean? It's like, why? Why bother? You've got a girlfriend now. Why would you want to be? I'd be okay with it. I'm not okay with it because he broke my heart. He's not nice to me. And if you listen to what I said, he's blaming me for the past, not himself. He's come to say, "I'm sorry for the way you felt." So if you actually understand that his psychology is bad, yes, exactly. He's blaming me still for the situation. He's not taking responsibility. He's not coming in and saying, "I'm really sorry, I hurt you, I upset you. I do apologise." He's coming in saying, "Oh, I'm sorry that you felt that way years ago." In the tone of, he wasn't the problem, I had the issue. if you know what I mean, and everything he did was fine. It's not. So I'm not going to be friends. You have to cut. There's people that come into your life for a reason, right? There's people who go out of it for a reason. If people have gone out of it for a reason because they weren't good to you, you cut it. You just let it go. You know, you don't welcome everyone back into your life that you cut off from. You cut off them for a reason. It's like when you're in a relationship. If you split up, you don't get back with the person you split up with. You shouldn't get back with an ex the majority of the time because there's a reason why you split up with them in the first place. That reason usually doesn't go away. It just comes back again. Might go away temporarily and everything seem like roses, but it usually always comes back again because a person don't change that much. And so history repeats itself. There are a few exceptions to the rule. I know someone from my old job, one of my old jobs, she had a relationship really young. She had a kid with the person, this guy. The guy cheated on her. He left. Went years they didn't speak, and then they met up again, and they got into a relationship again and got married again. And as far as I know, they're still together. So there are strange things like that can happen, but it doesn't happen very often. I personally don't know how she forgave him and trusted him like that, but I do know he was very young apparently at the time. But yes, in general, you don't get back with your ex. Like my toxic ex, that was a douche. Yeah, you don't get back with people like that. The majority of people, if you know, obviously the person's not horrible, it's a bit different. But if there's anything that's been bad in the past between you two, you just leave. You know, and sometimes even if the person isn't particularly bad, you have to move on. If you're still having some sort of relationship with the person, even if it's not being a relationship, you're still having some emotional connection to them. It doesn't free you up for moving forward with the new love of your life because you're still having some old energy connection with them. Do you see what I'm saying? You're still energy connected to them. You're still connected to them in some way. And that's not going to do you any good. It's not going to do the new partnership any good, you know? Just, you know, like I mean, there's some people, you know, I'm not saying you have to get rid of everyone in your life or every ex completely, give them up. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, but if there's no reason for you to still stay friends with them other than the fact you have some old emotional attachment to them and you want to give them another go, just don't do it, you know? We should, you know, the only reason we should be friends with someone is because we're emotionally detached from them as much as possible, not attached to them, and because they're a good person, because things just didn't work out despite you being good. But majority of the time, you don't go back to an ex. You know, it's like these people, right? There's so many videos, how to manifest my ex back, how to get my ex back. Forget your ex. You split up with them for a reason. Move on. There's thousands of other people in the world. Thousands of other people in the world. Stop hankering after the past, because I mean, I've met, as you know, I get attracted to Indian guys. I meet a lot of Indian guys. They've had a true love, or they thought a true love years ago in their childhood, right? These guys are like, you know, even the guys in their late 20s, early 30s are like this, right? Or actually mid 30s, right? And they look back and they've like got this childhood sweetheart that dumped them. Right, things didn't work out, right, for whatever reason. Sometimes it's actually to do with them, that they weren't they weren't in a position where they were being good in the relationship, right, giving the woman what she needed, right? So years later, they're still hankering after this woman. Oh, this person was my first true love and they hurt me so badly, and you know, and they're like, oh, but I thought they were the one and I loved them so much. It's like, how on earth can they move on to get the real true love of their life? Because obviously that person isn't. It's in their past, right? There's a reason why they're not together, right? If that person wasn't doing all they should in the relationship at the time to keep that person, then that's a lesson they learn to take to a new relationship. But if they're still hankering after their old relationship and going over and over it and going, oh, but they were the love of my life. Oh, but I thought it was the best relationship ever. You cannot love the person that's going to come into your life fully. I had to help my ex from India to move on. He still loved me for 3 years, and I decided to talk to him and his friend to try and stay as friends, and he tried to get back with me. I had to help him move on. We're no longer talking. No, you have to split it and cut it. It's good. That proves what I'm saying, you see. Most people can't move on if they have communication. You have to cut off completely. A lot of the good dating coaches recommend that too. You just cut it completely. you know, because you have to, otherwise the person can't move on, because there's always that, what if I left him alone for his sake? Yes, it's good. It's good. Don't forget, we don't need to be friends with everyone in life. There's other people we can be friends with. We can move and get new friends. Do you know what I mean? Some people are friends for us for years and they leave our life for whatever reason. It's hard. It hurts. But, you know, we have to think, when we let out the old, we bring in the new. So any people, any guys that are like, I mean, obviously it doesn't happen just guys, but I know this from speaking to Indian guys. It's really weird that you say that was the Indian guy, isn't it, that happened to? For some reason, Indian guys really have a problem with it. I'm thinking, I wish I could be that one person that they madly fell in love with, because I actually want to be with them. Once a breakup happens, I move on from them. I'm only friends with 3 or 4 of my exes. I'm not friends with... I'm not friends with any apart. Well, one guy, I was his girlfriend for one night years ago, and he's not even friends with me on Facebook anymore. He was for a while. I think it's because I started talking about asexuality so much. I'm not friends with him on Facebook anymore. That's fine. And so, you know, if you want to class that as a relationship, it's not really a relationship, is it? Like, do you know what I mean? One night, because I kissed him. He kissed me. He actually talked about going away for a weekend, and even back then, I was like, how old was I? 16, I think, at the time. And yeah, even back then I didn't like sex. Because this guy who I'm talking about now, yeah, I kissed him. We met up. It was a wedding reception I went to, and he was there, and that's how we got together. And then the next time we met up, he kissed me. It was like a lizard kissing me. And I knew we're supposed to be just friends, because it made me feel ugh. So, you know, I can't just kiss anyone. And I can tell if someone kisses me whether they've got potential to be in a relationship with me or not, and to be long lasting, right? So it was like a lizard. And I was just like, I can't be in a relationship with you. I just knew it. And so I told him, and then he was on the phone. I remember saying it. And he's like, oh, if you ever want someone who really loves you, let me know. But after that, I found out he was a 2-timing person. But we did become friends for a while. Like, he used to take me out and stuff, and we used to go out in his car, you know, but I hadn't got a boyfriend at that time anyway. So well, initially I hadn't, but then later on I did. And one of my boyfriends who was abusive, I left him for a while, and then this guy ran a hotel, so I went to stay in the hotel. I didn't have sex because obviously I'm not interested in sex, but my ex never, who I did get back with at that time, after I'd spent time in my friend's hotel, which was actually a hotel room, you know, you know, I think he did want sex with me still. I think he didn't realise. So my friend, even though we were still friends, I think he always fancied me and wanted sex with me, because when I came down for breakfast, when I was in the hotel, he said something to me, which I think implied sex. And I said, yeah, but I'm not that type of person. And he goes, no, I know you're not. And so I think he probably did want sex. But when I went back to my ex, he never, because he was abusive as well, he used that always against me. And I said, I didn't have. He said, oh, you had sex with him. You must have done if you're going to a hotel. I said, no, I didn't. I'm not interested in that, you know, because I was asexual. I just didn't realise it. So I don't think about stuff like that. The only reason I had sex with the guy that I was with for a long time, because I was with him 8.5 years, and I was very, you know, in L with him at the time, you know, and I felt okay doing that with him a lot of the time, you know, and I didn't like look at him and think I want sex with you, but it was fine. I was just used to it with him, because we kind of went together in that way. Oh, you can relate to it, yeah. So yeah, so, you know, looking back, but this guy, I did actually see him in my old job, because he came in, because he's a police officer now. He's actually, he was a 2-timer. He used to have 2 women on the go at once, but now he's settled, happily married man with kids, completely changed his life around. So some guys can change as well. And he came into the office at my old job, and he said then, oh, I always knew you were asexual. Back then, I'm like, well, you never told me, because he said, with the way you are over sex, basically. As in not wanting it, because he asked me to go this particular time when he kissed me like a lizard. He asked me to go away for the weekend with him to France as well. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, no, that means sex. So I immediately said no, because I've never been interested in sex. Do you know what I mean? I'm not interested in it. It's just the kissing I miss. But yeah, so it's much better to be upfront and honest, you know? Like when I had a date, oh yeah, I was telling you about my exes, like, so yeah, that guy, I haven't, you know, he was my Facebook friend for a while, but I've, you know, since then he's not spoken to me. But I mean, if I saw him in the street, I'd still speak to him because I was only like in a relationship with for like one night. I don't even really think about it being a proper relationship. And then who else? Oh, and then a guy I dated for a while, I'm still friends with as well. And that was because he works at a restaurant that I need to go to regularly. And I didn't really want to be friends with him at that time. And I thought, well, if you don't, Sandra, you're not going to be able to eat many places because I've got so many food allergies that I can't eat many places in my city. And it's my favourite place to go. So I really had to go in there, put on a brave face and be friends with him. But I'm fine with him now. You know, me and him are fine. He's got a fiance and me and him are like distant friends, if you know what I mean. So, you know, we don't really talk. He's friends with me on Facebook. We don't usually talk. The only time we really talk is when I go in this restaurant. Well, he doesn't own the restaurant, but he works there, you know. So yeah, but I did that for me because I didn't want to, you know, originally I did that for me, but I'm, you know, we're fine. We're fine. He actually did once before he got with his partner, who he's now engaged to. He did actually meet me in the club that I go to. I actually saw him there the other day, just said hi to him, thumbs up as a mate. But because he still goes in there, even though he's got a partner, he just goes in there for a drink sometimes. But yeah, so I did actually meet him in there years ago, and he did start kissing me again and stuff. But then he started, I still don't think it was suitable to be in a relationship. And I said, and years ago when I was dating him, he broke my heart. First of all, this was a couple of years later. He started kissing me in the club. And actually, I was able to kiss him, but not want a relationship with him. That was the first time in my life I'd ever been able to do that, because usually I get very emotionally attached to it, especially when I'm dating a guy. And he did break my heart a couple of years before. But he wanted to come back with me that night. And I'm like, no, I'll go back home on my own. But he said, I don't think we're suitable for a relationship. I said, yeah, probably because I don't want sex and you do. And that's pretty much why we're not suitable. So yeah, so that was the last time. And, you know, then I don't know if a year later he got with the person he's with now and they live together and everything. So good for them, you know. So that's probably, I think they're the only two people I actually keep in contact with from past stuff. Yeah. Oh, and that guy that I was in a relationship with this year, I blocked from this channel, but he keeps popping up on my other one because I haven't yet blocked him on my other one. So yes. But you know, I just ignored him last time. So yeah, yeah, so I don't really keep in contact with exes. I don't think it's a good idea. You have another channel. Yeah, I have Quirky Books TV channel, but I'm hardly ever on there because I'm on this channel all the time. This is the love of my life. I have Quirky Books TV, which I do life hacks on, which is on this channel. It's a recommended channel, but like I have like only 114 followers on there, and that was a channel I set up years ago because I keep changing the format. I used to do like reporting style stuff. Then I started doing poetry and off, you know, like just poetry made up on the spot. And then I went into life hacks. That's what I do on that channel, mostly life hacks. So how to live your best life, be your best self, and live your purpose. So that's what I do on that channel. Then I've got another channel, which is an inspirational channel, which I haven't really done much with, which I'm going to be doing more with in the future, which will have inspirational, motivational videos, more like quotes and things like that. And I've actually got an entrepreneur channel as well. But again, I haven't done much with that because I'm so busy on this channel that I don't really have so much time for the other ones. But I need to improve on that. So yeah, but I've got things I need to get done first. Do you know what I mean? Like it's more important that I'm on here for you guys. You're my main people that I love. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, it's just wonderful. I just love being here. I'm here every night usually, apart from the other night when I was having a meltdown. It does happen occasionally, but you know, usually I'm here every night. The only other time I'm not is if I'm out somewhere, and because I can't live stream anymore from a mobile device. Oh, you subscribed. Oh, thank you, my life. That's really sweet. I love you to bits. That's really good. Thank you so much. I think most of that channel, the people that are on there are asexual, actually. I noticed that they go from here to there. So, but like sometimes I only put a video out like twice, like once every 2 weeks. I should do it every week, really, at least. But I just like, I've got so much to do at the moment. Like, I've had to tell my asexual interviewees that I've got to postpone looking at through their answers for a week, because when I go through their answers, I have to look at them in very distinct detail with all the rest of their answers to put them together for the final book. So it's not like I can just like look at them and then read them. You know, they need really reading in depth and focusing on. I've got 5 people's to do that with, so I've had to postpone that for a week while I focus on the fibromyalgia self-help handbook work with the typesetter, because the typesetter who's supposed to be doing the typesetting for the interiors are having a few issues with errors he's coming up with, and they all have to be sorted out before it goes to print, obviously. So like today I spent 3 hours with him on that, which I just have to be patient. So I'm just being patient with him now, thinking fine, it'll get done. It's a lot of extra work for me that I didn't, you know, I just thought I could leave him to get on with it and that'd be it without checking his work. But me being the methodical person I am, likes to check work. I think it's important. And then like they've still got page numbers missing off the index, like table of contents and things like that. You can't have that. It's unprofessional. So obviously there's things, you know, he has done a lot of work. I'm not saying he hasn't done anything. He's done a lot of work, but the work still isn't up to the standard I need it to be. Do you know what I mean? So, and I'm having to go through all this stuff he's done to check for errors, which I shouldn't have to do. But, you know, again, you should do it. Always check people's work if you're paying them to do a job, really, unless they're part of your team ongoing. This guy, I haven't worked with him before. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's still important to check someone's work to make sure you know the quality's there, because you know people are going to be paying me for this book. It needs to be top quality, and it looks really good overall, but there's issues, and the source bar isn't correct either. That's really got a lot of errors. So I'm spending a lot of time on that, and I've got to get all these videos done. I've got videos that are in my iMovie for I'm doing asexual meetup mastery course. So for anyone who wants to buy that, that'll be coming out soon. But I recorded like over 4 hours. It's nearly 5 hours of video footage that I've had to like be editing. It's a lot of video footage to edit. You know, it takes me a long time. So I had to, this week, I'm literally just going to be focusing on the fibre book and doing the video editing, because my Mac yesterday had 8 gigabytes left. I freed up some more. I managed to free it up to 51 gigabytes and from 8. Last night, I spent most of my time deleting videos and saving them to other places, but you know, I've still got to edit the videos that are already in there waiting to go on courses. I've got other courses to do. There's videos from 1, 2, 3 other courses on there, not just the asexual one, and one for a blog post that I need to do for my other channel as well. So it's like there's a lot of stuff I need to get done. So yeah, so I do have other channels, but this is my main one that I love talking to you guys on, because it just comes naturally to me. Asexuality just comes naturally to talk about it all the time. This is like, it just comes naturally so much. So yeah, anyway, I need to conclude this video because I've been live streaming for over an hour now. But just to conclude, right, you tell a person you're asexual from the beginning. When you first met them, you tell them up front, right? If you don't want to tell them face to face, get their number or Skype and then tell them in a text message or face to face behind a screen if it's safer for you. You know, you can do it that way too, right? But you have to tell them from the beginning, because it's fairer to them, it's fairer to you. You don't get emotionally attached, or you shouldn't get as emotionally attached. You can break from them quickly, because most, you know, not every sexual, but most sexuals do want sex. Like the other day, I was so happy that the guy in the asexual, a guy in the dating group that's not an asexual group, the UK dating one, he said to me up front that sex needed to be on the table when I said I was asexual. So I wished him well in his search, he wished me well in mine, you know? So just because some people react badly to asexuality doesn't mean to say everyone does. And quite honestly, I've had more people react in a good way overall about asexuality, you know, and me telling them I'm asexual. So yes. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please share it with any friends who need to hear this message all about, you know, whether they, you know, when they should tell someone they're asexual and how they should say it, you know, if they want to say it in a more safe way. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already down below. Don't forget to hit that great big bell icon So thumbs up, please, and the great big bell icon down below so you get notified of every time I go live. Right now, I'll post a new video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Share my videos with anyone you think may benefit. Get them to subscribe. Be part of the community here because I'd love to have more of you. Thank you, My Life, for taking part tonight. You're an absolute superstar. Big clap for you because you're amazing. Thank you so much for subscribing to my other channel, my Quirky Bits TV channel, and thank you so much for being here with me. I'm really honoured to have you here, honoured to have all three. I know there's been 3 people watching pretty much all the way through this video. I know My Life had to go off a little bit because Mum was calling you, wasn't she? But you know, I know there's been people watching. I don't know who everyone else is that's watching, but I love you all so much, and keep being ace as always. Until next time, embrace your quirky and each other's. I'm honoured to have you as a friend. Oh, thank you, My Life. That's really sweet. Oh, I got a friend. Another one. Ew. It's nice. I'm feeling good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Till next time, embrace your quirky and each other's, and I'll see you on the next video live stream. Take care. Lots of love. Bye, My Life. Bye, everyone else. Bye. Lots of love.